Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, where we peel back the layers of corporate filings and expose the juicy details. Today we are looking at Citius Pharmaceuticals Inc. and their latest 8K filing, which hints at some rather interesting financial maneuvers. Before we dive deep, if you love getting these unfiltered insights, don't forget to smash that subscribe button. And hey, we've got a fantastic community on Discord ready for you to join. The link is in the description below. Alright, so Citius Pharmaceuticals Inc., a company focused on developing treatments for cancer and other conditions, dropped this report on the 20th of October 2025. What is really jumping out here is a significant securities purchase agreement and a stock offering. This isn't just about raising money, it is about how they plan to use it and what it means for their future growth and for you as someone watching this company. This report is a 8K, which is basically for big events that shareholders should know about right away. Imagine a company making a surprise announcement on a Friday afternoon. That is kind of what this form is for. It signals a material event has occurred, and this one definitely qualifies. The core of this filing is an agreement to sell shares and warrants to an institutional investor. Think of it like this: Citius needed cash, and they found a big buyer willing to put money in for stock and options on stock. This offering raised about $6 million. They issued a large number of shares, specifically 1,460,000 shares of their common stock. Along with that, they also sold pre-funded warrants and regular warrants. Warrants are essentially options that give the holder the right to buy shares at a specific price in the future. These pre-funded warrants are interesting. They are essentially a way for investors to buy shares now, but with a very small upfront cost and a promise to buy the rest later through the warrant. It is a way to defer some of the immediate cash outlay for the investor, and for the company, it can sometimes be seen as more like an immediate sale of shares. And then the regular warrants. These are standard fare in these types of offerings. They allow the investor to buy more shares later if the stock price goes up, making those warrants valuable. The total number of shares could potentially increase significantly if all these warrants are exercised. Now, facilitating all this was H.C. Wainwright & Co. LLC, acting as the placement agent. Their job was to find the buyer and negotiate the deal. For their services, Citius paid them a hefty 7% cash fee on the gross proceeds. That's about $420,000 right off the top. Plus, they got reimbursed for expenses and were granted their own warrants to buy shares. This fee structure is quite common in the industry to incentivize these agents to bring in deals. However, it does represent a significant cost of raising capital. Plus, Wainwright also got placement agent warrants to purchase up to 278,146 shares of common stock with an exercise price of $1.8875. This means if Citius' stock price climbs above that level, Wainwright stands to make even more money, essentially aligning their interests with the company's stock performance. So the company brought in about $6 million, but after all the fees and expenses, the net proceeds they are expecting to walk away with are closer to $5.5 million. That is a nearly 10% haircut just on fees and initial costs. Where is this money going? Well, Citius explicitly states they plan to use these net proceeds to support the commercial launch of their product Lympha. This includes things like milestone payments and regulatory fees. They also mention further development for their other product candidates and just general corporate purposes. This is a crucial point because it signals their primary focus is on bringing Lympha to market, and they need this capital to push it over the finish line. This offering was done through an existing registration statement on Form S-3. This means the company had already laid the groundwork to sell these securities to the public, making the process more streamlined. They also filed a prospectus supplement on the 21st of October 2025, which contains more detailed information about the offering. The filing includes exhibits detailing the forms of these warrants. These are important documents because they outline the exact terms like exercise prices, expiration dates, and any adjustments that can be made. For instance, the regular warrants have an exercise price of $1.4 and expire 5 years after issuance. They also have a cashless exercise provision, which means if the shares aren't registered for resale, holders can exercise without paying cash and instead receive the net number of shares. On their expiration date, any unexercised warrants will automatically be exercised using this cashless method. A key detail in these warrants is the beneficial ownership limitation. This prevents any single investor from acquiring too much of the company's stock in one go. Initially, it is set at 4.99% or 9.99% if the investor chooses, and this can be adjusted with notice. This is a standard anti-takeover measure and also helps to ensure a wider distribution of shares rather than a concentration in a few hands. Beyond the material agreement itself, the company also issued press releases on the 21st of October 2025. One announced entering into the purchase agreement, and another announced the closing of the offering. These are included as exhibits and are essentially public announcements about the events detailed in the filing. And finally, the report is signed by Leonard Mazzou, Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of Citius Pharmaceuticals, Inc. This signature signifies that the company's leadership is attesting to the accuracy of the information provided in this report. Now let's put on our Warren Buffett hat and look at the big picture here. Citius Pharmaceuticals is in a very capital-intensive business drug development. Raising $6 million is significant, especially when you are aiming for a commercial launch of a product like Lympha. The immediate thought is that while taking in cash is good diluting existing shareholders, by issuing more stock and warrants can put pressure on the stock price. The fees paid to the placement agent are also substantial. However, if Lympha is a significant breakthrough and its commercial launch is successful, this capital infusion could be exactly what they need to reach profitability and provide substantial returns to investors. The company's direction seems focused on advancing Lympha, which is a clear strategy. The risk here is the inherent unpredictability of drug development and market adoption. Even with successful trials, regulatory approvals, and market entry, there is no guarantee of success. The warrants add a layer of complexity. If the stock price remains below the exercise prices for an extended period, they may expire worthless. But if the stock price soars, these warrants will become very valuable for the investors, as well as the placement agent who also received warrants. In conclusion, Citius Pharmaceuticals is making a bold move to fund the launch of Lympha. This is a race against time and market challenges. The company is betting big on this product, and this financing is a critical step in that gamble. Investors should watch the progress of Lympha closely and consider the potential dilution from these warrants as the company grows. Alright, that is our breakdown of Citius Pharmaceuticals' latest filing. What is your take on this financing and what it signals for the company's future? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this analysis valuable, hitting that like button really helps us out, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives like this. And hey, if you want to chat more about these filings, join our Discord community. The link is in the description. Thanks for watching. See you next time.